This is Jason Verney's podcast. I am Jason Verney. This particular podcast episode is dedicated mainly to the feature film or feature documentary Faces, Places. It's actually a kind of you could say it's a co-directorial film or directed film, but it's basically by Agnès Varda and artist called JR, artist known as JR. Now, Agnès Varda, she's known as I guess French. I think it's French Belgian, but she's very well known in the photography, documentary, video, sort of art scene, and even the new wave French cinema scene. I didn't know much about her past films or projects. I haven't seen many, if I can't actually name one at this point, so I'm not sure if I have actually seen any, I'll be honest with you. The thing is, this particular film, I mean, it could be her last film. She's getting old now, she's getting on, but it's a really, really, really good film. Just to put you in the picture of how I got to see this film, or got interested in this film. As I spoke about in a previous episode of my podcast, which you can find on YouTube under Jason Verney, or even iTunes, or it's also on Spreaker. But probably this particular episode, you might be better off just typing in my website name of MUBI.com, and you'll find an article there. It's at this point in time, it's probably I think it's the not quite most recent article, because that's about the London Korean Film Festival, which is coming up very soon. Exciting news there in the article, not necessarily in that announcement I just made. But yeah, there's an article about MUBI Go. MUBI Go is a sideline to the already existing MUBI, which is an online platform for independent films and art house films, and not just independent films, and commercial films. It has a great sort of random selection. In fact, every day there's a new film, but it rotates on a 30-day basis. Anyway, I could speak loads about MUBI, MUBI.com. I will just mention again the MUBI Go aspect. You download an app, a free app, which goes with the MUBI app, and every week they give you a free movie of their choice. In this particular week, it was Faces, Places. I've also seen since seeing Faces, Places, I've also seen Skate Kitchen. Saw that yesterday, and I'm hoping to see A Star Is Born, the new remake with Lady Gaga and the guy, I forgot his name now, the guy who's directed and starring in it. But the thing is, this particular thing, you load the app up, it tells you which cinemas near you are accepting or showing the film, and also accepting the QR code that it gives you. So far, I've not had any problems with it. I've only been to 2 cinemas. One is quite a commercial cinema, View, just because it's on my doorstep. I wouldn't necessarily normally go there. And the other one was, which I'll talk about slightly now, it's Arthouse Cinema in Crouch End, and I really love that cinema. I've never been there before. It's a little bit out of my way, but not really. It's kind of on the overground from where I live, and I'm so glad I've visited it now and found it, and I will revisit it again. I'll talk a bit more about that, the Arthouse Cinema, at the end of this. So back to Faces, Places. This film, it basically they announced to us, the audience, at the beginning, or quite near the beginning, Agnès Varda, she has been a fan of JR's work for a few years, and he has been of hers. Now, the thing is, JR is a photographer. He drives around as I'm sure as well as other projects, he drives around in a photo booth van. People step inside. He takes their picture, takes their portraits, and out come their photos. Maybe at the outset that doesn't sound like a very unique thing, but the way he does it, and it's his photos are amazing. His van is amazing. It's like a camera lens, and at first I thought, they've just made this for the film, and as soon as I saw it, it said, no, this is his camera van. This is what he does. So Agnès Varda and JR, they are on a mission really to just drive around the country and see people, meet people that have extraordinary lives or ordinary lives, and they basically they take photos of people, they discuss with them, they just take a photo, and then often to the surprise of the person they've spoken to, they'll then put that picture in massive with massive dimensions onto, for example, a wall of somebody's house. Or a fantastic part of the film is there's three ladies who have their photos, their images on to giant shipping containers, and I don't mean one shipping containers. I mean a load of shipping containers stacked up. Their pictures on it, and it looks amazing. This film, it's very funny. It's very heartwarming. The relationship this Agnès Varda has, she's not young anymore. JR, who is pretty young, they have this beautiful relationship, and it's quite heartwarming, very heartwarming throughout the film. And not only that, when they're visiting different places, they seem to get on with the locals and get on with themselves. And Agnès Varda, she's always making comments about JR and his glasses. He never takes his glasses off. That's his style, I guess, his image. And she says, I want to see your eyes, and that kind of thing. And, it's a kind of little joke that is intertwined throughout the film. There's also mention of Jean-Luc Godard, the film director, and there's almost a meeting with him. I'll leave it at that. But basically, because as I don't like to give spoilers away in my reviews, and I like to keep them vague. Basically, so they go around France. It's basically essentially a road trip, and it's just very heartwarming, really well made. And I couldn't believe myself being a filmmaker, a small scale video artist, etc. I was fascinated by the lighting, the camera, the angles, the cinematography in this is amazing, and the shots captured are pretty amazing as well. It's I suppose from the trailer I saw, I thought it looked. Now this might sound weird because it's about two artists, film photography and I suppose film artists, and it seemed too arty, if that's possible. It just seemed, I'm not sure if I really want to watch this film, and it's just thoroughly enjoyed it from the beginning to the end. It's just so I can explain it. I can go into more detail about it, about the villages they visit, the reactions, the way that these people are greeted. But the truth is, it's just, I've said it before, but it's heartwarming. I suppose what added to my enjoyment of the Faces Places, the film itself, that added to my enjoyment perhaps was the fact that this is where I talk about the Arthouse Cinema in Crouch End. It was discovering that, so I was already on a bit of a high. I went to Crouch Hill, which is the overground stop. There are other ways to get to it, lots of other ways, buses and as well. And there was I walking through Crouch Hill. I just decided to walk. I wanted to see the distance between that stop and the Crouch End Arthouse Cinema. And there's so much scenery in the buildings and churches and shops I hadn't seen before in that part of London. I've lived in London over 10 years, and certain parts I haven't been to, haven't had any cause to go there. And it was just amazing. So my evening, I think it was mid-evening, I can't remember the exact time now, was already, it was already on a high. And when I got to the cinema, I did wonder first, and this is not solely to put down Picture House Cinema, but just as I got to the area where the cinema is, I thought, oh my God, it's a Picture House Cinema now, which, yes, they've got issues with their paying the staff, and yes, they're taking over all independent cinemas, and they can look pretty splendid and beautiful sometimes. And I did think, oh, it's not that independent, the Arthouse Cinema. However, a few doors down was actually the Arthouse Cinema. So if you go to Crouch End to the Arthouse Cinema, it looks a bit like a church, I suppose. I'm not sure if it used to be, but don't be confused or misled that the first place you get to is the first place you get to is the Picture House Cinema. It's much longer from the frontage, from the outside. But if you just take a few steps further, you are actually at the Arthouse Cinema, which is a real independent cinema. And yeah, went inside, watched the film, got told which seats are probably best. I'm definitely going to go back there. And the cinema, I love these independent cinemas I'm discovering in London. There's a Genesis Cinema, which is a different scale. It has several screens. It could be a multiplex. It's independent, it's family run, but it's almost verging on multiplex, but it still sticks to its showing independent films and also the big commercial blockbusters as well. You also have the Lexi Cinema, which I'm always talking about, the Tricycle, which is now called the Kiln, Peckhamplex, which I've started to revisit lately, which is a every film £4.99, but it shows all the mainstream films, but you could spend a day there, see 3 films, you've only spent £15, and it's cheap and cheerful, but it's clean, it's well maintained, it's a nice place. Anyway, so off topic there, but and I will say that regarding this MUBI Go, and then their latest one, which has, as I speak, it's recently been announced, and it's now available to go and see, is A Star Is Born, as I mentioned. But I'm hoping to see that, although I could go and see it at the Barbican, I could go and see it at the Genesis, which I mentioned earlier, and other places. The cinemas seem to vary. Like this time, at this point in time, the ICA is not there, nor is the Arthouse Crouch End for this particular film. But I guess that depends what's playing, where it's playing. The ICA is often on there. So it seems to vary. But yeah, I'm hoping to go to see this The Star Is Born at the Rio Cinema, which I haven't been to in ages, and I think it was probably the first, and maybe even the first and last time, was when I went there to see the female Scorpion, the Japanese sort of sexploitation films. That's what they kind of classed as. Probably almost 10 years ago now, I'm not sure, or 7 or 8 years ago, which was introduced by Jasper Sharp, and it was a kind of an all-nighter. It was a marathon of 3 great films. Trilogy. So yeah, what else can I mention? Just to recap, Faces Places. What else can I mention about that? I mean, the fact that it's very well shot. I've mentioned that. JR and Agnès Varda, they get on so well together, and even if you check out the trailer of this film, it's pretty amazing. Even if you forget the parts of them just walking through the countryside, it shows you imagery of what they do paint onto buildings, or what they do, I shouldn't say paint, get projected or put onto a building. It's they show these towers, these houses, and what they achieve is amazing. It's just very beautiful, and it's just art in the real world, and it's just amazing. You just want to kind of take snapshots of the film, because not only the photos that they take are so beautiful, but also the actual images of the film itself. You could take a still from so many parts of this film and use it as a photograph in itself. So I will leave it at that. That's my review, kind of vague review, but of Faces Places, the Agnès Varda and JR film. And as I say, I wanted to mention also the Arthouse Cinema in Crouch End, MUBI Go, and independent cinemas and great films. That's one thing that if I or when I move away from London, whether it be part-time or full-time away, I will miss the cinemas here. There's so many to choose from. Try to forget the Odeons, the Views, and the Cineworlds, whatever they are now. Cineworld and even Picture House are all connected. You won't find all these films. Some of them do show them. Some of them are kind of obliged to show some of these films, I think. But yeah, it's one thing I'd miss about the city of London. So I'll leave it with that. And I will hopefully be bringing more reviews. Perhaps one about Crazy Rich Asians, which I saw the other night at Peck&Plex, and the one regarding the MIA Maya, which was the film about the singer artist, and perhaps one about Skate Kitchen. So that's it for now. Check out my website, miniminimovie.com. Type in Jason Verney on YouTube. You can find more podcasts, more video clips, more talks I've done it in South Korea and elsewhere, and the odd short film, and also you can find some of my videos on Vimeo. Okay, enough plugging about my stuff. That's it. I'll bid you farewell. Thanks for listening. Bye.